This EP comes out March 2nd, kind of a secret, smartly built up thing. Like you have the teaser videos on YouTube. How long has it been done for?
Well, that's a good question. I think we finished it in December.
Yeah,
January.
mid-December is when we finished it, and we figured that March would be a good time after Valentine's Day and all the holidays and everything.
How many songs did you pare it down from?
Oh my, there were probably 6 or 7 songs maybe that, and these were the 4 that best suited what we were trying to do. So.
Got it. So when you have an EP or a kind of release like that done, and you ask this to some people, you get an answer of, oh, we've got 40 songs done. And other people go, no, we have 7 songs done because we made 7 songs of the album or the EP. How many songs do you guys have in the hopper at the moment?
Well, I have about four lyric runs going on right now, and some ideas. We have a couple of things we're working on cover-wise that would be fun to put out there as an in-between moment. That's what we've been kind of noodling on recently.
Yeah.
Which has been fun.
Yeah.
Trying to go a little different, little something unexpected, but something that personally I grew up with. So we'll see when that comes out.
Something you grew up with. Now, looking around Tony's social media, I see some Rush influence there. I'm assuming that's not what you grew up with.
Well, no, I didn't. But since meeting Tony a year ago, I have definitely had my Rush initiation, and I don't know why it took me so long to get into the Rush love, but it's been great. He's got the true love of the Rush.
Yeah, I've been a Rush fan for a long. Back when it was uncool to be a Rush fan, I was a Rush fan through all that stuff. So.
When do you think it became cool to be a Rush fan? I'm putting you on the spot here, but for some people, it was the movie I Love You, Man made it cool to be a Rush fan, and other people, they fell out of Rush because of the synthy 80s thing.
Right. It was, here's what happened. All the big Rush fans from that era, like the Moving Pictures, which just turned 40, and Subdivisions and Signals in that whole era, they were all in their 20s then. Now these people are in their 50s, so they're much more influential. So now you've got all these artists that were just growing up, like Dave Grohl's a big Rush fan, and everybody. So all of a sudden, all these people that are cool now listen to Rush. So kids and people are going back and going, "Oh yeah, right." But it was the movie that played a big part in it. So
I would think so. But going back to Jenny here, any hints that you can give as to who you might want to cover for Beckerton?
May I?
Yeah, of course.
I'm a huge Bad Religion fan.
Wow. Okay.
That is what we're working on right now. We're working on a Bad Religion cover.
There's kind of 3 eras of Bad Religion. You have your early hardcore stuff, and then when they kind of went pop because they're working with Rick Ocasek and Todd Rundgren, and then you had their midlife crisis, I guess we have to be punk again kind of thing. Any hint you can give as to which era of Bad Religion that is?
Kind of edging towards the, oh gosh, we have to be punk again. Yeah. But I think the song just stood out to us with everything that's been going on the last 4 years. And their music is so timely, and the lyrics are just so important to listen to, and it continues so well and is perfect for this time right now.
Yeah.
There's so many Bad Religion songs that could be describing. So I'm
every song truly. So
it's one of the reasons why I like Bad Religion, and one of the reasons why we picked this song is those songs are presented in a very punk sort of a fashion, but they're really good songs. Mm-hmm. And really good songs like that, you can take them out of that element, and they're still really good songs. And that's what intrigued me most about covering like a Bad Religion song. We
even had a virtual date and one of the Bad Religion, the four decade concerts. Yeah. He was working in LA, I was down in San Diego, and we said, you know what, let's have a little virtual date watching Bad Religion.
Yeah.
So that was a fun thing to do.
Wow. So I really can't peg down what Beckerton sounds like or what inspires Beckerton based on all the names that have just come up, because if we do some research, we know that Sting played a role in U2 meeting, but Sting himself, you know, before he was kind of a light jazz-ish kind of artist or collaborating with Shaggy, was accidentally one of punk's innovators in a way.
He was, and he innovated. What's funny is he innovated across everybody, including Rush, who cites the Police as one of their influences for
Right.
that synthy sort of more condensed versions of their songs, and trying, instead of playing 7-minute songs, now they're doing 4-minute songs. It was all part of that, and he's he's got a lot of influence across. When you're that successful for as long as he has been, you get those kinds of influences across genres. And
yeah, going back to when you were saying, well, there might be a cover or something that Jenny grew up on, I was thinking for a second, do you know the group The Bird and the Bee?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
About how it is a female and a male, and it's two people playing just about all the instruments on it. And they did a Hall & Oates covers record, and then they did a Van Halen covers record.
Yeah.
That would be great. I didn't know about the Hall & Oates cover record. That's funny.
It's a great record, and it kind of opened up my ears to hearing how maybe you've heard a song 1,000 times before, but you just change up the vocals a little bit, and it's a totally new song.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful that Bad Religion might eventually happen, but your EP, it's been done for a while. There's more songs in the can. Is this a band or is this a project?
I think it's a project that's turning into a band. Sitting down on our couch in Brooklyn during the midst of a pandemic, we'd started just writing some lyrics together just to see if this even might be a thing. And as we got a bit more time together, and this guy shipped out about 4 different guitars to the apartment.
Yeah, I do.
We just sat down and we'd be strumming along, and I'd have some lyrics thrown together, and we just started hearing things come to life and wanted to put them down. So we did.
Yeah.
How long was it from meeting to realizing that you had a musical connection?
I think the musical connection was probably immediate, if one of the first things. But like, we didn't really start, I guess, writing for a few months. I mean, it was
right. I think after we started dating, it was a couple of weeks, and but we knew each other about a month and a half before we started dating, and that's just the joy of finding somebody that you like while working and figuring that out, especially out on the road.
Yeah.
Right. Was it a particular artist that you realized that put you on the same wavelength in terms of influence, like a commonality kind of artist?
I don't know. I don't know if there was any one artist, but there's a lot of like weird overlaps between Sting and then there were other artists across the era that that I would know more about, or she would know more about. So we both love music.
Let's be real. I mean, classic rock is what we listen to all the time. So
yeah, we do listen to a lot of classic.
That's where we connect, and it's really fun. But it's also neat to see his roster of the artists that he's worked with, and I'm like, okay, I had no idea. I mean, just so I get to geek out a little bit, meeting somebody new, all of the real like music background in the studio, on the road. Whereas my background comes from Broadway side of things and musical theater performance. So it's this little dream of going more rock and roll than legit that I've always had. And if you have somebody who can do what he does, then, take advantage of it. We're falling in love. So.
Right.
Yeah, the last 15 years, I would say, we've seen a lot of great singer-songwriters and rock artists and indie artists make a foray into the Broadway world. They used to be just totally two separate things. And then ultimately you saw Duncan Sheik and Trey Anastasio and Sting and all these other huge artists kind of make a foray into Broadway. So that's a really good point on that. Tony, I looking at your credits, I see Jukebox the Ghost on there. Great band. Did you know that early on?
They're really, really nice people. I got to work on, they did a piano record. Ben came in and took one of the records and just did an entire piano thing. And I was fortunate enough to work with him on that. But just super nice guys, very funny. They get it the whole way. They have just a great vibe about them. So they're fun. I love Jukebox. So.
But otherwise, looking at your discography, if All Music Guide is correct and not giving us fake credits, it seems like you work with the same artists more than once. They want to have you back. So I think that's a compliment.
Definitely. I mean, that is a compliment, and it's a compliment that I don't take lightly. As far as I don't take that for granted. But it's when for me personally, when I get to the point where I find somebody I like to work with, then if I enjoy it and the band enjoys it, then why wouldn't we work again if they don't, unless they want to change or something like that. But for the most part, even artists that I haven't worked with in a long time, I still follow them or keep in touch with them, or it's just I have a lot more fun now than I did 10 or 15, 20 years ago, coming up through the ranks and just having to work with anybody and everybody. Now I'm a little bit more on solid ground. So I'm a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more confident in the studios, and I don't have to work with people I don't like to work with anymore. So
I made the cut.
You didn't. So far you're okay.
I was going to lead that to, well, you're working with Jenny more than once, so that continues the streak there.
Yes.
Had you spent a lot of time in studios as a performer before this, Jenny, or is it more just singing in theater kind of projects and singing in the shower?
Very little time in the actual studio, a couple of recordings when I was younger. But my whole performance career was in live stage musicals from the time I was 8 until the time I was in my late 20s over here in New York. And also got into directing and choreographing and just everything theater, went to school for it, and found myself journeying to the other side of the table, so to speak, and wanted to make a full career out of it, and found myself in publicity and marketing, which has been a wonderful 20-year career so far. And I'm just getting started.
And just getting started. So it's very interesting that both of you come from entertainment adjacent, performer adjacent fields and are doing this in your what's now off time.
Yeah.
Right.
What I'm getting at is if you meet a dentist, they don't, when they're not doing their dental practice, a lot of them aren't writing for dental publications or starting a second practice. They kind of go, what's the opposite of dentistry? In your cases, you're flocking towards performing when you don't have to be. So I think that shows love for this, that this is not a cash and this is I want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, it was, for me, it was, music was always a hobby of mine. Even before I started playing, just listening to music. I just loved music. I loved what everybody loves about it, the emotion, what it brings out of you, all of that. And, and I had regular jobs for a long time, and I would still play guitar or work on records and write terrible songs and, and play in terrible bands, which you do when you're younger.
Yeah.
And I was very, very fortunate. And again, I don't take this for granted, that I was able to actually turn what I loved into my job. So when I'm done at the end of the day, being in the studio, I don't have any problem at all getting right back into it, or picking up a guitar, or listening to something new, or working on lyrics, or whatever we need to be doing. It's really, really, I'm really living the dream, is what I'm trying to tell you, Darren. It's just fantastic.
That's a healthy attitude as well. And so, Jenny, as we learned before, a couple weeks into dating, this the musical chemistry was kind of realized, you had the EP. How long was it from the realizing that to realizing, hey, let's actually start an EP and not just write songs?
I think once My Cynosure came together, it actually stems from a poem that I wrote in my early 20s after going to a nightclub in San Diego and having this really cool experience there. And then this guy was going through some music he wrote in his, you say in your 20s as well?
Yeah, my 20s.
And he played me something and I was like, okay, wait, hold on a second. I think that this poem and that are going to meet together, and that's absolutely what happened. And then we had a couple other things that were already completed, and it just seemed like it was right to put out an EP of 4 songs. And I think Madrigal is the last one to join the group. Yet I think that was the one that was the most organic, and just laying on the couch with the guitar and just that one definitely has some Hedwig and the Angry Inch kind of feeling to me a little bit. So that's my little homage to Broadway.
So all the songs were written before the record button was pressed. In other words, no improv of just in the studio and something happened.
Well, I guess you could say it was all in the studio because.
Well, I mean, it was all in an apartment on a laptop, basically. I mean, we didn't actually go anywhere. So, but I think it was more of an overlap. It was more like, oh, let's work on something. And then we would be working on it, and I would be putting instruments down, and we would do scratch vocals and melodies and those kinds of things. And then in the meantime, during the downtime, I would be sitting on the couch playing guitar, or Jenny would have a lyric, or a set of lyrics that she thought might be appropriate, and we would work on that. And then, so it wasn't really like we wrote everything, then we recorded everything. It was a lot of overlap and a lot of energy that kind of went to the whole thing as opposed to individuals.
Got it. My brain always brings everything back to Van Halen, for better and for worse. And they were going through the vaults a number of years ago, and somebody found alternate versions of the song Hot for Teacher that had totally different lyrics to that. And that always made me think, how many songs that we love and we know by heart. I'm not saying that you know and love Hot for Teacher per se, but how many songs you know and love have an alternate set of lyrics? So what I was getting at is, were there any songs that you came to the table and went, let's try this set of lyrics? Okay, that didn't work. Let's do this one.
I think Madrigal had that journey a bit because this is our little tug of war when it comes to writing. And I at first didn't appreciate it, but now I really do. Is I come from emotion and feelings, and Tony goes more on the technical, what's going to really sound good musically. And so there was this tug of war that finally I think was realized with this sweet kind of ballad of Madrigal. And then he comes in with this rock guitar lick that I'm like, oh my gosh, that just brought it fully to life. Like that is what it was missing, and that's what it needs. And so to me, Madrigal kind of doesn't have other lyrics, but it has another sensibility to it of being just a romantic, like, play this at your wedding. But then this guy comes in and changes all of that for the better.
I like to keep it interesting.
It's the Rush influence that just keeps harkening.
It absolutely is. I have to, it has to keep me interested. If the song's 2.5 minutes long or it's 5 minutes long, it has to do something as a performer and as somebody who enjoys listening to music. It has to click that one thing that makes me go, oh, I want to hear that again. And sometimes it's a note that's right out of the scale a little bit, but it's interesting. And sometimes it's, a bunch of different parts. Sometimes it's, hemispheres or natural science.
As long as the weird time signatures don't kick in, I think everybody's happy.
For the most part. I have some of those, and Madrigal's in 6. So it's...
And not gonna lie, when he counts 5 and 7s, I'm just like, what is happening right now? How do you... It's impressive.
It's a lot of practice.
It's impressive.
Every now and then it works in a song like Money by Pink Floyd, but otherwise,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's and that's one of the things I always listen for, Darren, is if you could take a song that's in an odd time signature and make it sound perfectly normal. Money's a great example of that. That to me is a goal, is something to shoot for.
Yeah.
You know, anything that doesn't sound really clunky and sounds nice and smooth. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Weezer, I thought, helped bring the 6/8 time signature into normalcy with Suzanne and My Name is Jonas and things like that, but otherwise.
Yes.
So the EP, March 2nd, do you know anything after that, or is just the whole world is hurry up and wait?
Well, I think that we're going to see how March 2nd hits and how everything goes. We have a lot of fun things planned to show off the music visually, just putting the final touches on a couple videos, and excited to throw those out there. I, hope that all of my Broadway world friends enjoy this. A lot of them have already reached out to me going, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were a singer. I'm like, that's okay, because you're supposed to be the one in the spotlight right now. That's what a publicist does. So this is very rare for me to be on the opposite side of the table. So thanks, Darren, for this.
It's my pleasure. And the closer for both of you to answer. And some people just take this as a plug, opportunity to plug their website, and other people actually impart wisdom. Your call if you do both, neither, or all the above. Any last words for the kids?
Thank you for supporting live music. And that's really important to both Tony and myself for all the things that we do in the entertainment world. If you do want to check us out, we're at beckertonofficial.com. And we're excited for you to listen to the music. So thank you.
Yeah, and just keep, my message would be just keep, if you want to do something, just keep doing it. And sometimes it takes a long time, but if you're diligent enough and you persevere, you can do this. I didn't think I would be writing and recording music or have this as a job. So if I could do it, anybody can.
If you can win a Grammy, anyone can win.
Trust me, that is definitely true.
Thank you for putting it in there.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, the key is congratulations on having an EP almost out. I think everyone in the world says, I'm going to do an EP, and they don't actually do an EP. So hopefully this is the start of big and wonderful things for you both. So congrats, and looking forward to seeing everything that's next.
Great. Thanks, you, Darren.
Paltrocast.